Hello one and all, this is Soulful Lordy,
Where are the others?
James Bullock,
Where's the rest
once
of the
again
resistance?
with another video game first impressions. This time around, Terminator Resistance for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Now this game actually came out in 2019, but that was internationally. It didn't arrive to the Western North American shores until this year. And it's one of those games that really got swept under the radar because of the fact that it came out so late in 2019 originally. And even in 2020, it's still a game that unfortunately doesn't have much hype or talk about it. But it actually is a really good game. Not necessarily innovative, not necessarily groundbreaking, but solidly put together and enjoyable from what I've played thus far. Terminator Resistance is a first-person shooter single-player game with no online modes. You as the player take control of Jacob Rivers, a resistance fighter set in the year 2024 during the original future war that is depicted during the Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 Judgment Day movies. The overall atmosphere and the soundtrack that surrounds everything that's going on is absolutely phenomenal. It is depicted so well both daytime and nighttime, especially during the nighttime sequences, that just gives this overbearing feeling of dread and potential danger that comes around at every corner. There are a variety of enemies, be it spider bots, be it turrets that have been set up, and even of course the T-800s. Now when you initially encounter the T-800s, they are pretty much invincible. You have to utilize stealth to get around them, or if you have a bunch of explosives, throw them as many as you can and as fast as you can and get away, because they can knock you on your butt very quickly and kill you. Not long into the game, you are given a plasma rifle that allows for you to actually destroy the T-800s, and there's even a knife that you can stealth kill certain T-800s. The overall gunplay is tight, it's responsive, it feels very good. It's nothing that I would say is extraordinary. It's stereotypically and prototypically a first-person shooter that works incredibly well. The melee system, on the other hand, isn't the best. It takes a while before the melee even is activated when you hit the button, and then it doesn't even give off a sound when you're hitting items or enemies or what have you. It's not the best example of melee attacks in first-person shooters, but it's serviceable nonetheless. The enemies, as I said, there are a variety, but unfortunately, they are pretty much dumb as dirt. The AI, no matter what difficulty you play on, is dumb. They come at you in hordes, they shoot at you in straight lines, a lot of times they miss, and it's really easy to overcome a majority of the enemies that you take on. On harder difficulties, of course, hits take more health from Jacob, but outside of that, there's really nothing to fear when it comes to the overall enemy set, especially after you get a plasma rifle and you can take out the T-800s. Another reason for the lack of fear when it comes to the enemies has to be the UV goggles. The UV goggles are pretty much this game's version of detective mode from, say, Batman Arkham Asylum, where you can see through walls, you can see where the enemies are. It would have been nice, say, on hard or extreme difficulties to disable the UV goggles to make it a lot more difficult for the player, but if you want to, I guess you could self-impose that rule that you will not use UV goggles to make the game a little bit more difficult. On the opposite end of the spectrum, one of the nice implementations that I did very much enjoy was the hacking system. The hacking system, which is presented in this Frogger-like mini-game when activated, allows for Jacob to hack things like turrets. So say when you are surrounded by T-800s and you have a turret on your side, it allows for the turret to take out the T-800 and you don't have to worry about it. You can just hide in a vent somewhere. From a character and narrative perspective, once again, the game isn't the most revolutionary, it isn't the most profound, but it's serviceable nonetheless. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing thus far. I'm enjoying the characters thus far. I'm enjoying the little side missions that allow for interactions with certain characters that you wouldn't have otherwise, even though the side quests are mostly just fetch quests and are incredibly mundane in the overall presentation, but it's something to help get those experience points, to upgrade your skill tree, featuring things to expand your inventory like backpack options, improving weapon damage and stability, lock picking, hacking, and just the general prototypical skill tree options. There's also an option to upgrade the plasma weapons via this circuit system that works pretty well as well. Overall, Terminator Resistance isn't a game that will shock the world. It isn't a game that will go out as one of the best of the end of this generation. In reality, a lot of this feels like a 7th generation game, but it is done pretty well. It's not a game that you have to go out and rush and play right now, but it is something that I recommend to fans of first-person shooters and most importantly fans of the Terminator franchise. It's a game that will give you, from what I've seen thus far, about 10 hours of enjoyable content, and you can just move on to the next game. It won't leave a lasting impression, but it will give you a very good time while it does last. So there you have it. This has been so overlording. James Bullock, once again, with another video game first impressions. Terminator Resistance for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Now if you don't mind, I have to sneak around a little bit, hack some turrets, maybe even take out a Skynet outpost. And as I'm blowing up all of the containers and the, of course, T-800s, the scientists of Skynet will have no choice but to say, "Oh lordy!"